Yeah, I knew that.
Test, test, test. Everyone can hear me. We're going to get started, everyone. So if we could all just start making our way over to the presentation area, grab a drink, sit down. It's a good turnout. The sun's out today, so everyone's coming out to the meetup. All right, guys. Good evening. For those who don't know this face, I am Alyssa Leiden. I'm one of the co-organizers of the San Francisco Selenium Meetup. If it's your first time here, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. We have a great speaker lined up for you tonight. Just wanted to first make a couple of announcements. First of all, just a big thank you to Cloudflare, who sponsored this beautiful spiel. Let us come into their company, so clap for Cloudflare. You're ready. Just a couple of house rules. We have the drinks here. We still have some salad left over. There's a coffee station over here. Everything on this side, the little snack wall, that's off limits. Just go ahead and keep yourself to the counter area if you want to go back and refresh your beverage or something like that. Our next meetup, we do have a plan for February. I have a place, I have a date, I just need a speaker. So again, every month, I like to say, if you have something interesting related to Selenium, automated testing, CI/CD, DevOps, anything cool that you're working on, feel free to reach out to me via Meetup. I'm looking at you, Sage. And just tell me what you want to talk about, and we'll get it set up. So it's just that easy. As always, food and beverage and the organizing the meetup is brought to you by Sauce Labs. If you want to learn more about Sauce Labs and the world's largest test automation cloud for Selenium and Appium, please come say hi to me over there. And one last announcement, if you haven't checked in with me, like I have a list of names, I need to make sure that we get an accurate tally of the number of people who are here tonight for Cloudflare. So just go ahead on your way out, just stop, shake my hand, you'll get a smile, and I'll be able to write your name down on the list, okay? Cool? All right, enough of me. Let's get to the main event. Our presenter tonight comes all the way from, were you in Miami before?
I was in Miami, right?
Yeah.
And previously in Ukraine, my actually origin country.
So, I mean, we've
Got
a really special guest tonight. This is Iakiv Kramarenko.
Yes.
Yes, Kramarenko. He is the CEO of a company called Automation. Is that how you pronounce it?
Automation.
Automation.
Right. Automation.
Automation.
Yes.
Sorry, I should have asked you. He's the CEO of Automation, which is a company committed to making human life more effective through automation. He's also the creator of Selen and NSelen, which are concise wrappers over Selenium and Python and C#. So obviously we have a great subject matter expert here to present on the keep it simple, stupid method and page object modeling. So give it up for Iakiv.
So, hello everybody. And actually Alyssa told everything about me. I even don't know what to add. Maybe I will just tell a few words about my company. So this is like my child that I'm building. And here, like I have a place, a field for my experiments and investigations and some research and development in automation world. We are developing some open source libraries like this Selene and NSelen, which are just concise wrappers over Selenium that makes automation much faster and more efficient. And also we do like automation services, like for customers, building automation for them. And also I spend a lot of time for education. These are like just like these meetups, like today, kind of free talks. I also have some paid courses and stuff like this. And that's actually it. And today I will tell you about KISS page objects. These are not classic page objects. And their main goal is to be more efficient, more simple, and faster in use and support. So let's proceed, right? Here is the plan. Our plan for today's talk. Actually, it may change during the talk because, according to what I understood, we have only 1 hour, right? And today I trained this talk, and it took me 1 hour and 10 minutes to finish it. So maybe we will change on the way, and maybe we miss some slides. We'll see how it will go. But the plan is like this. We will start with the introduction. We'll just recall what are page objects, what they were invented for. We will have some classic examples that maybe all of you are familiar with. And then we will have a KISS page objects demo. This will be a live coding session, like 10 minutes, when I will show you how I code page objects. And then we have like a big part. It will be rather complicated, where we will review all those design techniques, both classic ones and these KISS ones also. And finally, we'll have questions. Maybe we will put a session of questions just after the KISS page objects demo, just for me to understand in what you are more interested in, right? Because this retrospective part is actually very big, and maybe we will be talking about what you are not pretty interested in, so we will adjust. Okay, so this is a slide, actually my final slide that I will show on all of my talks. But today it will be a preface slide, like in the beginning, and it tells that everything is related to context, right? Everything depends. There are no best practices, and all I am going to tell you today, it's not the truth, like the complete truth. There are many contexts, and you all the time should think about it and choose the best technique in the context, right? So just listen to me and think, not believe everything I will tell you, okay? Think on your own. So introduction, KISS, what is KISS? It's keep it simple, stupid, right? It stands for making things easier, not easier, but actually simpler, not overcomplicating things, not over-engineering things. And today we will see how they will apply to page objects. And what are page objects? They are a classic example of encapsulation, right? This is a quote from the famous article by Martin Fowler. I would say that this is like a classic article. If somebody of you didn't read it for sure, because actually, yeah, maybe main answers about page objects you will find in this article. It's actually very useful. And during the talk, we will come back to the quotes of this article and analyze them. So page objects was created to encapsulate some technical details about HTML page structure. So in your test, you can use some abstract methods, some abstractions that reflect user actions on the page, user behavior, not bothering with the internal implementation of these actions, right? So these are like a few pictures. Below you see some HTML structure that has nothing related actually to user behavior, right, to use cases. And above you have some breakdown to page objects like album page, album list page, which define some actions like select album with title, get artist, update rating. These are common user behaviors, right? So page objects was invented to write tests using these behaviors, not dealing with elements, finding elements, waiting, and stuff like this, right? And here will come the boring part. Let's consider some classic examples of page objects. So this is the usage of page objects. It's actually pretty awkward for me. It's pretty readable. Yeah, you can see that we have two tests. It's a search and follow first link. These are tests for the Google, right? So we just making a search and check that there are going to be 10 results. And since we Googled Selenite, we should get in the first result something like Selenite concise UI test in Java. And second test is about following first link. So we are trying to check that when we follow first link, I believe that everybody knows that in programming first is 0, right, on the 0 index. And we just check that first link follows us to the correct web application website with the title Selenite concise UI test in Java. This test is pretty readable, right? Can anybody have any problems with it? I believe no, right? But it has some technical details also, like waiting. We wait until number of results 10 and stuff like this. So this is a classic example of using the page objects. And here is the internal implementation of these page objects. This is a classic page object in Java with Selenium. What you have here, you have some fields that defines the driver and wait to manage everything. You have fields that describe your elements. In our case, these are search input and results. You have these annotations, find by, these magic annotations that make things more magical, actually. Does anybody can tell what does these annotations? Can you just like tell what they do? These annotations, find by, what they do? Annotation? No. No, it doesn't find any element. It actually just mark some page object field as specific field. And it also attaches some metadata, like this name equals Q. Search will not start if you just mark this field as by find by. If you do like this and create object of this page, it will fail with null pointer exception. Just because the real magic starts when you, in the constructor, call PageFactory init elements. So this is like the driver of all this magic. When you call this magical method, it will go with a Java reflection through all fields of a page and find those special fields, these fields annotated with find by, and will make them not just web elements, but proxy web elements, like weird, not elements, but element finders that will find themselves on each action, like this. So this is the point about this PageFactory and classic page object. And you need to make these like bulky annotations to everything work. And yeah, this like this. We really need it just to describe two elements, like two fields in a page object, search input and results. And for this, we need to do all this bulky stuff. Annotations, driver, wait, constructor, PageFactory init elements, like this. And then we can use it in actions, right? Like search for text or first follow result link. And then not like we can't just use those elements. For example, see at follow result link. We can't just get these results and get result by index, find inner link by CSS select and click. We need to wait. You see, here is some like waiting. Wait until number is at least index +1. Why? Because Google is dynamic web application, right? It will not show you immediately the results that it will find. And you should explicitly tell WebDriver, please wait for these elements, right? And actually, those annotations find by and those PageFactory, it exists specifically for this, to make this waiting work. Because otherwise, if you put here not these specific proxy web elements results, but just driver find elements by CSS select, it will not work. Because how waiting is work, it try to find an element, and if exception is thrown, if there is still no element, it will sleep a bit, like 100 milliseconds, and then try again. So these results should be really that proxy web element that can refine themselves each time. Understand? Like this. And you need to write all these bulky stuff, actually. Let's go further. There is another technique in classic page objects design called loadable components. Documentation says that it makes page objects less painful. So let's check what are they about. So classic page object is on the left. You can see here some like opening a page. This is just simple method open calling driver, get, and URL. And on the right side, you have a loadable component. So you need, what do you need to do? You need to extend the loadable component specific class. And you need to define two additional methods, load, that is actually the same that open. And one more specific method is loaded that will throw error if page was not loaded. You need to put additional assertion there that will check whether page is loaded or not. So kind of loadable component is able to define whether it is loaded or not, right? So you need like to write even more code to use this pattern. And yes, here I'm just asking, so less painful, right? We need to write even more code for it. And there is even another more like advanced loadable component technique called WaitingLoadableComponents. And it also defines this specific method is loaded. You also need to extend some specific class. And you may have different loadable components. Like previously we had search loadable component, like component describing the search field, like specific element with some specific behavior. In our case, this behavior stands for knowing whether I am loaded or not, like this. So you have other loadable component results. You also have this method is loaded. Just here, you see it doesn't throw exception, but just return a Boolean, true or false, whether I'm loaded or not. And then you put these components, loadable components, search and results into your Google page, actually. You see, you just in constructor, this search equals assign new search driver. Like you created not via find by annotation like previously, but just via simple object-oriented approach with the constructor. And here, you see, you have method is loaded, which relates to the nested component search. So you just call this search is loaded. The idea is that Google page, like is big page, and it consists of smaller loadable components. And in order to wait for all page to load, you need to wait all nested components to be loaded. Understood? This is like the main idea of this design technique. And then you have Google search results page that also contains the search. If you remember, when you're Googling, you have firstly just one field. You press something, press enter, and then you have other page with results, and you still have this search field, right? Despite of the fact that this is actually other page. So this is this other page, Google search results page, and it has two nested loadable components, search and results. And this page is actually defines is loaded as related to this results is loaded. It's because the search results page is finally loaded when all results are loaded. Understood? Like this. And then we come to the usage of all this stuff. And you see those get method. Like previously we wrote Google open search selenite, and here we use this special method. This special method is actually all what is all this loadable component about. Now if you call get, the page will wait for all nested components to be loaded. And then you are able not to use wait. You just use common assertions like assert that, results page, get results size equal to 10. Like all this was made for this. To first, like when you start testing some page, wait for everything, wait every nested loadable component to finalize its loading, and then make some assertions. like this. Okay, understood? Some people use this approach. That's like for true. And on like when I started my career, I was also playing with these scenes. Now I am like I'm feeling ashamed for this, but let's consider. By the way, does anybody from here use loadable components? Okay. Okay, let's. We will come back to them finally, and I will tell you why this is not so good approach actually in automation. But let's first see the that keys page objects. Right now, I will go to my laptop and will show you some live coding session of how these page objects can be written much faster and much simpler. Okay, we have my editor here. This is IntelliJ IDEA. This is like a template for a test class, Google test, that will do everything. It extends base test. It's just a configuration-based test. I can show it to you. Here we just specify that every test will be executed in Firefox browser. We also have base URL, so we will not repeat all over the place this google.com. And we will also use this option called browser open to not close the browser in the end, so we can see results. Okay, let's come back to the test and let's start writing. So it's simple, right? Just test, public void, search. This will be our first test. So what we are going to do, let's actually open Google page, right? Like this. Let's open it and let's search for selenite. You see what I'm doing? I actually have not written any page object yet, but I've already started to use it, right? You see that red Google, the editor says to me that I don't know what is Google, but it like doesn't stop me. And the idea behind this technique is that first I am thinking about end user, about test case, about test scenario. I am not thinking about implementation. I am thinking about use case for what this implementation will be needed. It is called top-down design. So first I am designing my page object, and only then I will implement it. You see, like maybe you remember the film about Sherlock Holmes. Do you remember with Robert Downey Jr., right? So one time his how to say, like Sherlock told that first you need to collect facts and then build the theory, because otherwise, if you build the first theory, then you will try to manipulate the facts under the theory, and that's the same. If I would start to build my page object, I will then manipulate the test case, the scenario, by what I have. Understood? And so I am specifically, by intent, starting from the other side. I'm starting to design my page object, and only then I will implement it. So let's do this. I will use just these helpers from my editor, IntelliJ IDEA, and generate everything. So I choose just create class Google. And I will put it to a specific package. I will call it PageObjects. Like this. Okay, we'll come back. Now I see that I have no method open. Okay, no problem. I will add it, create method open. It gives me a hint to return Google test, but I will return Google, like myself, like this. And now I will write implementation. It will look like this. First, I need to find an element. I will use the $ command. You may consider it like search, like for first letter of search. Actually, in JavaScript, in jQuery library, you have the same command. And this library that I will use here just use the same naming for searching elements by CSS selectors or by any bilocator. This search field actually has this locator. It has name attribute equals to Q, which stands for query. I am just will, with Alt plus Enter, add all static imports. So commands will be recognized by Java. And then I will just set value to, not set value. Sorry, guys, I am actually started to implement the search method, right? Not the open. Oops. So here it will be like this. Selenite open and enquire. This stands for no country redirect, because I'm interested in like English versions all over the world. And now I will add this search method. Like this. Text. And here I add those dollar by name Q. And then set value, text, and then press enter. Like this, very simple. Okay, we have first command implemented for our page object. Let's run and check that everything is okay. Great, it searches. Let's proceed with the next step. So next action would be on search results page, right? So we will work with the results. New search results. Again, I have no search results as page already implemented. I'm just designing my test scenario. And here, what I need to do, I will actually verify that search results should have size 10 and they also should have should have result with index 0 equal to Selenite concise UI test in Java. Search results. It should be correct, no? I'm missing T. Yeah, thank you. Like this. Great. Okay, I'm Ukrainian. I'm not that good in English. So, Selenite concise UI tests in Java. Like this. Let's implement this one more page object. It will also live in PageObjects package. Let's implement this method, should have size. It will also return the page object. So we can use these chained methods. Index, we call it index. It will also return this, so just a reference to this object. And here we will actually first need to find all elements that represent results, right? I will also consider that I already have them, like these results. And to make it work, I will create this method. It will return the collection of elements. Like this. And the way you can search all elements is to use $2 command. It will not find only one element, but all elements corresponding to the CSS selector that we will define here. The CSS selector is like this. I just remember it already. So now we can just check the size. Yeah, but here we'll not use index, but actually the number. We'll name it number, right? Okay, and to make it even more readable, we will use static import instead. like this. Results should have size number. Cool? No? So, and let's create one more method. Should have result. Here it will be index and text. I will again use my results. I will get the first result, not first, but result by index that we passed as a parameter. And then I will just verify that it should have text. Text. I will also use static import to make it more readable. That's it. And that's our test. Let's break down lines. Let's verify that everything will work. Yeah, it works. Passed. Cool. So we will add, like, very quickly one more test about following the result link. Okay, for this we will need like the same code in the beginning. New Google Open Search Selenite, and here we will use the same page object, but another method, follow result link by index 0. Let's add it. Index. So again, we will reuse the results method that will find all elements that reflect results on the page. We will find the result by index, and inside we will find the element by CSS selector, like this. So this will be just a link inside some element with R class. And click, like this. Cool. And finally, we are going to get some new page, which should have title, Selenite Concise UI Test in Java. Let's create it. Here, okay. Let's add one more method. Okay, and the code will be like this. Selenite wait. Here we need to wait until title is text. Static import. That's it. Let's run all tests and check that they work. Okay, and second one. Cool. All passed. Great. So let's come back to the presentation. And I will tell you a bit more about this approach. So these are just reminders of those source files I used. So this is where we finished. As you can see, everything is readable. You don't see any weights here. Everything is hidden, just pure behaviors of the user, just pure test scenario. And we have several page objects that are very simple, right? So no any annotations, we'd add some magic. Have you ever debugged all those find by annotations? I did. It's a hell, actually. It's a complete hell. But here you don't have them. You just have simple class with simple methods that do their job, right? And yeah, like this, pretty simple. Just methods that do their job. And the implementation is also pretty simple. You see, You also don't use any weights here. You just tell what you want. These elements get by index, find inner, click. Elements should have size number. That's it. No any driver management, you see? No any constructors which are setting some drivers, weights, calling some magical PageFactory init elements, nothing. Just clean test logic. And only here we use weight because actually this is a Selenium weight. That library I used previously, it is called actually Selenite. And to assert the title of the page, this is the only place where Selenite actually doesn't give you any built-in alternative. It just creates you with this wait command, the new WebDriver wait from Selenium, if you remember. And you can use Selenium conditions like title is to assert title. So now, please ask me some questions. Maybe I will not answer them right now, but I will understand which next slides you will be more interested in. Yeah? For Appium, I have no examples for Appium. Actually, I have no experience with Appium. But one day when my student came to me and asked what can I do with Appium, we sit and actually built first test scenarios using the same approach with Appium. But in order to tell you how to do this, I need to go to the end of the slide. Like, what is Appium actually? It has the same API as Selenium. It just uses different WebDriver. So in Selenium test, you create new Firefox driver, and in Appium, you create new Android driver, or like this, right? So you need just to tell this library, please use my Android driver, and that's it. Actually, there are some like tweaks, some tips and tricks there, because it's not just about creating Android driver. You need to set capabilities. You need to add additional weights, actually, in some cases, but it's possible. And I will tell you how to use explicitly driver in the end. Some more questions? Okay.
So what if you wanted searching on the search over and over, and then you want to check the first title to be different results? You have to wait for the page to scale.
Okay, you see this search method here? It's actually void, right? Where is it? Here. It's void. It doesn't. It doesn't return nothing. But you can also make it to return the page the same, and you can use chainable like search, or like this.
But how do you? So after you click search, it doesn't exactly refresh.
Yeah.
But then you're still going to search for the
I will.
results, right?
Yeah, I will work with 10 results. They will wait. If you want to title the change, you need to put explicit assertion, like title should be like this. Like if you are, as a user of tests, interested in asserting the title, the specific title, you need to write the line of code. The title should be like this. You need to put this, where is it? New page here. Like you need to put after this line, new page should have title like this, and then do something more, like maybe one more search. And then you again should put this, this page. Like page object will not check any title until you asked to do this.
Actually, it's more like the first one where after you run search, you want to assert that has a different.
You want to write one line like search dot title should be dot search again dot title should be like this. You can do this, of course, but then you need to.
So would that? I guess the question is, should have size 10? Would that?
Let's see.
Right, no, that line right
Here?
No, back.
Back? Okay.
So right here on the
Should have size 10.
Right. So let's say if after this I ran search again.
You want to do search again.
Right.
You
We're not looking for title already. We're just running search again. And we want to search for a different word.
yeah,
Should have results text, right?
yeah.
And that should have size. Still just catch the current size. Because you already have 10 results there.
Yeah.
They're not 10 results you want.
If these 10 results are just number of results. So the number in Google page will all the time be the same. Whatever you will search, it will show you just 10 results. So it works like expected.
But it won't have effect on the, so the second part should have results text until all conditions are met. Down the chain.
If you put should have, it will wait for what you asked. It will wait for there to be 10 results. If there are already 10 results, it will wait nothing. It will just check, okay, there are 10 results, and that's it, and go further.
Right, but if you searched again, you have 10 results.
If you want the text to be changed, you need to explicitly write the title should be like this, or the text should be like this. And it will wait. Like, you can actually, in this approach, we have two different page objects, Google and search results. This means that you can't build one long line of chain methods. You need to break it into the lines. And it's actually good because the shorter sentences are simpler, right, to understand. And here the same. So you will need just put one more new Google Open Search. You actually can move the new Google to the variable and then just use this variable. So you will not write again and again new. But you need to put each line. And then after each line, if the results on the page will be different, you need to assert them explicitly. You need to tell, okay, now should have result text 0 will be not selenite concise text sum, but selenite, a chemical element like this. If you, for example, search, like next search will be selenite element. And first result most probably will be some link to wiki page with this chemical element. So we will need to explicitly put should have result text 0, some selenium chemical or selenite chemical element like this. Understood? Have I answered your question? After the talk, we can go to the laptop and check everything you want, like write some code, so no problem. What?
Annotations in Python, right?
Which annotations?
Yeah, right now we are line by line. But in Python, they don't have this kind of Python.
Yeah, in Python they use like the classic page objects in Python are different.
Yeah,
You are going to use not web elements by locators. So in Python, when you're doing classic way, you are not building your page objects as classes describing fields as web elements, but classes that defines fields as locators. So you understand, like you have a locator like by ID, by name, by CSS, and you have a web element, which is actually a result of finding an element on the page by this locator. So in Python, they define fields as locators, not elements. And when you define as locators, you already, like, all idea is to create not elements, but element finders, right? Not element, but element finders. These proxy objects I told you in the beginning. And in Java, you use find by annotations for them. In Python, you simulate the finders by defining locators. And then all the time you will need to write not these results get, but you will write like this. These driver find elements, and in parentheses, these results, like this, you understand?
Yeah, but it's really horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. But actually find by annotations is also horrible. They are also horrible. This is much simpler, you see? Where is it? Works? No? It doesn't switch. This is a bug, yeah. No? Let me go and check. No? Okay, let me check. Oh. Cool. Okay. Let's proceed. So, you see, actually, when you are dealing with these dollar commands, you don't need find by. You can just use it with the dollar command. And these examples, they don't have, they don't have the fields definition. So here are just actions definitions. We defined elements not as field, but as a method. But you can actually write elements collection, elements, assign dollar command, and this will be the same. So you can put this command, $2, into a variable, not into the method, but into the variable, and you will have the same field. We will actually come back about this. When should we define fields and when methods? It's just command. It's like driver find elements. It's a simulating jQuery command. But but it's the same as driver find elements, but with find by annotation included, embedded. You don't need to write this find by. It will create this proxy web element finder for you. Understood? And that's it. And by the way, like actually Selenium, this library I'm developing, it's actually the same. Like the page object using my Selenium library will look the same like this in Python. You can just copy all these removed curly brackets, because in Python you don't have brackets. You just put 2 colons and that's it. And you will use, instead of this, self, and you will put self as first parameter in each method, and you will remove all type definitions, and this code will work in Python. Yeah? Yeah. But editor will do everything for you actually in Python. I will give a talk about actually all these in Python in 1 week. So just came to the next meetup and you will see everything. Okay? Yes? Are you asking whether these dollar commands use only CSS selectors?
Yeah, well, is that
These $2 command, it looks for collection of elements, and it's completely normal case when the collection of elements is actually empty. So this command will wait nothing. But if you use this command, which looks for one element, it will wait for element not only be existing on the page, which is also Selenium is capable for by driver managed timeouts like this, but it will wait for visibility on the page, because actually this is what we're interested in when working. And it will wait for it to appear first in the DOM, in the HTML page, and then it will fail, telling you, I was waiting for timeout and didn't find the element. With it will fail here, and all following text will not run. Like the normal case when you trying to run command and some exception is thrown. Tell what are your concerns? Okay. And
use test.
how can you continue your test scenario if you have no element on the page? Your scenario, like we are testing Facebook, and the test scenario is about creating a post, but there is no like share button. How can you continue the test? Like first you want to create the post, and then you can edit it, share it to your friend, he will like it. How the friend can like the post that wasn't created because share button wasn't visible? How can this be done?
You created them, but you see.
Okay, so, but this is your test scenario.
Yes, but you
I can't imagine test scenario that will depend on the number of created posts if something failed. Testing is about specifically defining expected results. If test defines, if this happened, then I will test this, otherwise I will test otherwise these are two different test cases. This is not one. No? Okay, we'll talk with you later. But just a general rule, guys, tests that run 5 hours, it's a bad test. Why? I will tell you why. So long tests, like really long tests, big, which have many steps, which are cons of these tests. If it failed in the beginning, it will not run further. Even if you, like, you can't make the test that will define, okay, if this step failed, I will fail all the tests. But if this post was not created among of 10, I will go further. It's very hard. This test will be very complicated. It will be hardly supported. Understand? It's like it's much easier to create smaller tests that will test all different use cases. And each test will be small. It will run. It will fail. You will know for sure what gets wrong, and that's it. I just can't imagine why you need a long test. This is the main idea about unit testing and testing in general, to break things one by one, to define the region where you exactly can find the problem. If you have a test 5 hours long, it's really very complicated to find the real cause. You will spend to run this test and to support this test more than manual engineer will spend for this. Yeah, but 5,000 of the data is not Selenium test. These are load tests, maybe written with Gmeter or 5,000 tests. You wrote Selenium test which ran 5,000, which created 5,000 posts. Okay. Yeah. For what reason? You did performance testing.
No.
What did you do? Okay.
It involves some data.
Okay.
UI, it involves infrastructure.
Okay. Then you.
Sit on the top and make all.
Okay, but then if customer really needs this is like a special separate test, then you can implement whatever you want, right? And maybe you're really right. Maybe you need to create 10 tests, 10 posts, and if one wasn't created, do something else. That's possible. And then you can adjust everything, right? You can adjust this library or Selenium to whatever you want. You can build your test framework. Actually, test frameworks are people create test frameworks to solve some problems. So if you have this problem, you just write your test framework, right? So that's clean. Okay, more questions? Yes? It will, Selenide will automatically scroll to the element if it's somewhere below on the page. It will wait, or it will scroll to it and find it. Yeah. And there should be also like explicit scroll method. So if you want, you can like you can explicitly scroll to something if you need it. All methods will wait for the page to be visible. For example, if you have a bug that after setting a value, the element actually disappears from the page, when doing press enter, it will wait until it appears again. More questions? Yeah. It will wait. Like the main idea about this library is to simulate the user. User waits, right? So any action here will wait. More questions? Yes? Events? Which events? DOM events. This library has nothing about events. Events actually is JavaScript world, right? And Selenium also doesn't support any like out-of-the-box event handling. But you have execute JavaScript, execute script command, both in Selenium and in this library, and you can do whatever you want. Just the question is for what purpose you can need it. Maybe if you need it, you can do this. But I would suggest just to do this stuff in JavaScript unit tests. So what we should not forget about that Selenium is actually acceptance testing. You remember those pyramids, right? Pyramid, here we have unit testing, here smaller part with integration testing, and really small part about acceptance testing. So Selenium test is the top of this pyramid. These tests are hard-weighted, they are hardly to support, they are less stable, and the idea is to not write them much. The better approach is to put really more detailed testing and more detailed coverage on lower levels of pyramid. And you can write unit tests for JavaScript, for your front end, for your client, in like 800 tests, and they will run in 3 seconds in the browser. You can actually run them also in the browser. And you can handle all events there. You can check actually everything like this. I even know some friends of mine that switched completely from Selenium tests to JavaScript unit tests because they were more efficient for them. They are faster, they are more stable, they can be executed in real browser, like the same way. And that was completely enough for them. So I would just suggest to handle events on lower level of pyramid in automation. More questions? No? Okay. How much time do we have? Alisa? How much time do we have more? 10 more minutes. Okay, let me just show you a few examples. More. Yeah, that's actually a good question. Why do we need page objects, despite of drying the code, right? Because somebody thinks that main idea of page objects is to write code without duplication. I would say that this is not the fact, because there are actually other ways to remove duplication. You can use not only page objects for them. And actually, code duplication is not a big deal. Actually, find and replace, like the main thing under risk of to be changed in automation test are locators. And find and replace completely okay. Like it works for sure when you want to substitute some locator. When some locator change it, you will see this in the report. Just come back to your project, select find in path, and replace, and put a new locator, and it will go through all the project and change it. It's not actually a big deal to write duplicated code with locators, and you will not have problems actually with this. I know developers that write Selenium tests with locators in the test. They don't use page object pattern, and everything is okay. They don't have testers, like only developers. They're creating banking products. in half of a year, they release product to bank, no bugs, everything cool. So that's it. Yeah, of course I'm joking. There are bugs, but the idea is that like banking products which have some demands for stability and stuff like this are created without PageObject pattern, guys. So PageObject is not like a panacea, or how to say it in English, I don't know. Understood? Like the main idea about PageObject is actually encapsulation. When you are encapsulating technical details under some abstract actions, right? Make tests more readable and so more understandable and easier to support. This is like main idea. And you can find this quote on this Martin Fowler PageObject blog. But the other question is, why may we need encapsulation, right? People use encapsulation for cohesion, right? For putting related things in one place. Like if you have some locators that defines elements and actions on these elements, why not to put this in one place, right? Why don't to put eggs in one basket? Understood? And this actually is pretty reasonable. It's like cleaning your flat, put related stuff in one box, other things in other box. This like make all these chaotic things more structurized. So this is actually a good idea. The other use case for encapsulation is to hide something internal to be not broken by the client, right? So you hide something, you make it protected, you make it private, so client will not use it and break. But actually, what can be broken in a page object? Have you ever had any thought about resetting the page object field to some other locator? Like you have a field in page object results and somewhere in test you write page.results assign something else. Have you even any thought one day about this? I didn't. Actually, I would say that this is not the case in context of page objects and automation tests. Other thing, encapsulate to hide something internal so it will not change something in the client when it will be changed. Like if you reveal something to the client, some fields, and client will start to use them, and then one day you decide to change these fields, like remove some field, then the client code will be broken. Understood? So and the idea is to hide these fields in order to not broke the client. And but here the other question may arise that, okay, but where is that line that will define this API? What should we hide and what should we not? And here I want to tell that actually we are dealing with locators, right, when building our Selenium tests. And actually they change really rarely. If you have Google with a search input and results, all the time they will have these results and search field. Like we can't imagine Google without search field and results. Maybe one day the behavior will change. You will tell by your voice, like Google search me something, and it will show you some results in some different way. But this will actually lead to completely rewritten test framework, right? You will definitely need to rewrite it from scratch. And so this is like just my feeling from my experience that actually most often you don't need this. Because like this situation when some internal code can broke client code is not relevant. At least I didn't met any case of this. And the final thing is to use encapsulation to actually create an API for your page object, right? To define these actions and behaviors that you can reuse. And actually this is what we done previously. And I believe that this is actually the main case for page objects, to make them readable and enough and convenient in usage. But here comes next question. Readable for whom, right? There are different people in a project and different, like something can be readable for somebody, but for somebody else it will not be readable. And here you need to think, actually, for whom do you write automation tests? For developers, for senior automation engineers, for junior automation engineers, or for manual testers, right? And you will have like different implementation in all these cases. For example, in case if developers write tests, as I said previously, actually they don't need PageObject, right? Because like this code is already readable for them. They are like technically strong developers, engineers. They completely understand this. They know their front-end implementation because they actually wrote it. They know all these locators. And actually, PageObject will not make it much readable. It will just take their time, the additional time to implement it. And I really know developers, like the Selenite, actually. This library is developed by some company called Burn, and they write tests like this, these banking products, with no any problems, actually. But, so just a note that you see this API that Selenite allows you to use is already readable. You don't need to build like any wrapper over it to make it even more readable. It's already readable. And the other idea is like, I already told you that these locators are readable for developers, but actually when developers will start write this test, they will understand that locators are not readable and actually will rewrite them to be readable. When developers are writing tests, they think more on the end product and they think more on testing the product, and they will in forward make the internal implementation of the product more testable. Understand? And this will make all testing more efficient. If you think earlier about testing, you will make it more efficient. Like quality assurance, right? We assure quality in forward, not controlling quality after. Understood? And yeah, about copy and paste rules, I already told you. It works completely smoothly, right? And yeah, with find and replace over dry. For senior automation engineers, so why they are gonna use PageObjects? Because actually they don't like those locators, yeah? And they can't actually change them because developers are responsible for this. That's why they hide the locators into PageObject fields to make it more readable and usable. Understood? And then also, senior automation engineers are too lazy, right, to copy and paste. You need to like select this locator and they paste it again and again. And they just like autocomplete, right? When you put Google, press dot and have all available for you. That's just like faster, understood? By the way, all this is relative, like it depends. I put everything in quotes, you see, just to know that these are all relative things. Some senior engineer may like no PageObject pattern, like to write locators explicitly. Other will not, other will go forward. So this all depends. So for senior automation engineers. And remember those PageObject from classic approach? Its usage looks like this. And this was this implementation. So I just want you to compare what we had with classic Selenium approach, yeah, with bloated code, with tag details, browser management, and stuff like this, and what we have with Selenite, yeah. Just pure, clean abstraction over locators and actions. Yeah, and this is for junior automation engineers. You see what we changed here? We add not only locators to PageObjects and use assertions in the code of tests, but we also create some assertion helpers, right? We make API even more abstract. Just for junior engineer to come to the project, a newcomer, press dot and see everything that is available and can repeat it like when implementing other steps. Understood what's the idea? Yeah, so we also break here. We used just one PageObject. Yeah, it was completely okay for us. But for junior automation, we broke it into smaller pieces to be like understood easier. You got it? When we break things to smaller, they are easier to be understood. So, yeah, smaller page objects per context. And built-in asserts, I already told this. For manual testers, we even go even more further. We create a one entry point to test model. So they will have just one page like Google, and then by dot syntax, they will be able to find some nested page objects like home, results, right? And we also broke down the should result contain, right? We break one method into two for simplicity, because like method with two parameters are more complicated than two methods with one parameter each, right? If like the idea is that with this approach, you can even make manual testers to write the code. They have only one entry point, Google, they press dot and have API to everything, right? You can just go through all API. Each method is pretty simple. It uses just like one parameter, and all is documented, and actually manual testers can write this code. I actually did this. So on one project, I have many manual testers, and I created a framework for them, like in a very easy way, so they used to write automation tests. So, and yeah, this is, here you have also like other technique, fluent page object, is when some method returns other page object, right? So result 0 is actually returning other page object reflecting result on the page. Yeah, so why should we care about all of this? What, just to make it efficient, right? If we know the end user of our test, we can leverage different techniques to make the automation more efficient, right? If we know all these techniques and their context to be used, we can really make automation more efficient. So key is not to make everything so simple, like that simple. It's about making it simple according to context, right? To context. That's it. Yeah, and I believe that here I will stop because we have not much time and it will be like too complicated. Maybe I'll like create some course based on this and publish it somewhere, so we will like be familiar with all this stuff. And I also will publish all this presentation for free and put it as a link on the meetup page, so we'll go through. Just maybe let me scroll through all of this stuff and show you something interesting also. Yeah. I want just to answer your question about driver management. Yeah, actually, this is a good point. So previously, we did not manage driver explicitly, right? Why? Because it was like a global driver, and Selenide as a library just used the global instance of driver. It's like kind of smartly global, because when you do parallel testing, you have one browser per each thread, and Selenide knows about it, and it will really create for each thread a new browser. So there will not be problem with parallel testing. But sometimes you need to create two browsers in one test, and this example shows it, right? Diaspora is a social network, and just imagine that you want to post a message into the stream by one Diaspora user, so the follower of this user will see this post in his stream. So if you will use one driver, you need to, like, when one user posts the message, you need to do logout and then log in again with other user to check. So you will waste time. If you open two browsers and log in with different users in them, you can just switch these browsers and like win a bit of time of this, right? And in this case, you can use two browsers, and this is the way how you can do this with Selenide. You can just create like new Selenide driver and put Firefox driver there, and when you do new post, you can use one driver, Selenide browser, and when you check the stream, you can put other browser, like a Shaka browser, and check that there will be this like post in the stream. Understood? So that's the case. But actually, and this is the answer to your question, how to use Appium. So you can create Selenite driver and put new Android driver there, and all API will work after this. So yeah, that's it. But here I want to tell you that actually best choice will be not to use two drivers in the test, but to use API calls. Like efficient automation, it uses different techniques to make everything faster and more efficient. And actually the even faster approach would be to use API call via some REST API services to do this logout login. It will be like much faster and still the same. You will achieve the same actually. You already tested logout login in other tests. You don't need to like do these steps again in this test. Understood? And there are also even different techniques in this. Yeah. So you can even break tests into two different tests. And in one test, you will check by API that after creating a post, it will appear in the storage, actually. And then in other test, where you want to check that stream is populated with new post, you will create this post in the storage. You don't need to create it via UI, because you already tested this in the other test. Understood? So this way, you can make tests much faster. And you don't need actually two browsers in one test. Understood? Just sometimes you have no API for some reason. I worked on some projects like this. And then you really will need to do this bulky stuff with two browsers. Understood? And just one more answer about loading component. I told you that I will tell you why this is bad approach. So if you use this loadable component technique, waiting loadable component, you will wait until all nested components will be loaded. But how often you opened Facebook and have like slower internet and proceed to messages or profile without waiting for stream to be loaded? Maybe in the United States, everything is good with internet, but in Ukraine, it sometimes sucks. And actually, like, not often, like, actually, I really can tell you that at home, like in flats, in apartments, we have better internet than here. But in public places and on the phone, like, we not have 4G, stuff like this. So we really can wait for, like, stream to be loaded. But that's actually the case. Many users have such internet. And it's good to test the way that user will use this application. He may not wait for stream to be loaded. He may go to, like, want to go to other page. And if you will use this loading component technique, you will not test this. And there may be some bug. And user will suffer for this bug, and you even don't know about it because your test didn't count this. And actually, I had I wanted to show you one more demo, but I will not do, just to show you this example. I will actually share sources, and you can repeat everything at home. But these page objects, KISS page objects, they work like this. If you download sources and run, you will see that post is created before stream is loaded. Because like everything is dynamically, and it waits for elements, not for all components and all the page. Yeah, and actually that's it. Just one last secret, right, about KISS approach is not to use Selenium. Actually, guys, if you open Selenium documentation, like main page, you will read that Selenium is a browser automation tool. But you guys are writing tests. Tests are not browser automation. Tests are user automation, test logic automation. So in order to be efficient in test automation, you need to use test automation tools, not browser automation tools. Understand? Web UI automation is not about automating browser. It's about automating user actions. And Selenium doesn't allow you, like it doesn't have all built-in methods, all actions to simulate user behavior. Right? You need to do everything from scratch. You need to write explicit waits, you need to configure them, you need to create all these like clear and type methods because you don't have like set value, which will firstly clear the field and then send some keys. You don't have double click, press enter, press tab. You have nothing. You have separate actions object which you should create, build a chain, and then run perform. All this is not efficient. Understood? So that's the main idea. On this slide, you will not see the like, please use Selenite. Yeah. Here, I of course use Selenite as a library. This is my library of choice. I'm porting it to other languages, but it's not about Selenite is the best, but it's the best. Yeah, but it's about wrappers, right? The idea is not to use Selenium, but use some tools that was created for automating test logic. You have, I don't know, you have how it's called, Serenity. Maybe you will like it more. It's use some BDD styling, stuff like this. You have many actually Selenium wrappers. So the idea is to use them, not raw Selenium, because they will make your life much more efficient. Yeah, and everything else I told you, it actually depends on the context. Yeah. So today, one guy asked the question about his use case, which is actually different, right? And maybe in your specific case, you will need to do some things different way, understood? So you need just to think all the time and take everything into account. Okay, so we already asked all questions. If you're interested in my talks and some posts, I don't know, just find me on Twitter, GitHub, Facebook. Just Google Yashaka in Twitter or everything. I have also the account as automation on GitHub. It has some snippets. You can reuse it for free, like they are all open sourced in your projects. On my github.com, Yashaka, you can find this Selene for Python and Selene for C#. You can do everything I showed you in other languages too. I have some Selenium courses at .com, and I have my company automation.com. So if your customer, I don't know, is willing to to buy some automation services, you can recommend me, I don't know, like this. And that's it actually. You can find me after the talk and ask all questions. I have time, we can speak about something more. Thank you.